If you are thinking of moving here to Denver in 2025, here are 3 mistakes you absolutely have to avoid so that you don't mess things up for your family. Mistake number 1, going too far east. Why do people move here to Denver? Hiking, skiing, the trails, the biking, getting out in the mountains. And Denver sits right up against the Front Range. Okay, so if you look on a map, there's this road called Highway 93 that basically runs the edge of the foothills, and then the mountains start going out to the west. So if you end up really, really far on the east side of Denver, like east of I-25 or on the east side of Aurora or even farther out, then it's going to be a long time until you can even get to the mountains, and then even longer to get into anything that's really fun deeper into the mountains. So you want to avoid this if it's important to you to move to Denver because you want to be close to the mountains. Now, keep in mind that does come with a price tag, okay? Typically, the closer you get to the mountains, the more expensive things get, not always. But as a general rule of thumb, you can kind of think about it as stuff on the west side of I-25, especially as you get closer to Arvada, Golden, certainly Boulder gets very, very expensive, versus on the east side of town, Thornton, Aurora, there's places you can get houses that are more affordable. And there's plenty of nice areas out there. It just depends on what's important to you. So for example, if you live here in Arvada, where I live, it's about 15 minutes to get to the mountains, and then you're just, boom, you're close access to lots of hiking, skiing, trails. You can get to Keystone without any traffic in about an hour and 20 minutes, which is amazing. There's a couple places like Loveland or a Basin that are even closer, and there's a place called Eldora that's in Boulder that's really close as well. For example, there's a place called Lookout Mountain that I love to take my family to. We love to take guests there whenever they visit because it only takes about half an hour to get all the way to this beautiful overlook, and it feels like you're tucked deep into the mountains when in reality you're actually pretty close to the city. That kind of thing is one of the reasons a lot of people move to Denver. It's certainly one of the reasons my family chose to buy a house here on the west side of town in Arvada, so that we are close to the mountains and also close to Denver. And I'll say this, being over here on the northwest side of town, we are actually right in between Denver and Boulder. So it's easy access to get to both of those places, which is great because we love visiting Boulder as well. I have an office in Boulder, I have an office in Denver, but it is hella expensive to live in Boulder. Now, if you're a first-time home buyer or if you're constrained by budget, going east is totally fine. There's plenty of nice houses out there. I've sold plenty of great homes. It just depends on what you are looking for. I'll give you a quick example so you can look at some numbers. So a single family home, the median price in Aurora is about $540,000 versus in Golden, the median price for a single family home is $975,000. So it starts to show you the pretty stark difference, and there's lots of homes with prices sort of in between. Certainly you can even go lower than that if you need like a condo or a townhome in the 300s-400s, those exist. And then there are some incredible new build communities out here right where Arvada meets Golden. There's one specifically by a builder called Workshop that I love, where you can get a brand new large home for $2 to $3 million. So it's going to cost you a lot more. As they say, you got to pay to play. So wrapping this section up, don't make the mistake of moving to Denver with the dream of being close to the mountains, but then accidentally buy a home or get into a spot where you're way, way far out east. Sometimes we call that West Kansas. You're not really close to the stuff that you wanted to be close to. And it takes a long time to even get into the mountains and even longer to get to places like great hiking or skiing.
I have great news because me and my team have put together the ultimate relocation guide that is meant to save you hours of research. And here's the thing, it's completely free. Yeah, who doesn't love free? And I hope you find it helpful.
Thank you so much for watching this video. My name is Marco Randazzo. I am a full-time realtor with 8Z Real Estate right here in Denver. My wife and I relocated here ourselves from Orlando, Florida about 9 years ago, and now we have 2 beautiful kids and an awesome puppy who's sitting right over there being nice and quiet so I can record this video, which is great. Thanks, Lila. And we love living here. We live in Arvada. It's fantastic. So if you're thinking about moving to Denver, or if you already live here and you're thinking about a move within Denver, ask me any questions. Feel free to use me as a resource. I will be your boots on the ground guy to help you get all the information that you need as you consider what is the right best decision to make for your family as you're thinking about this big, big transition. My information is on screen and I'd be happy to help. So reach out anytime. And now back to the video. Mistake number 2, buying a house too quickly and overpaying. That would suck. Here's the thing. I understand how easy it is to fall in love with a house and then you're not really thinking logically. Okay. I've done this myself 2 times and it's stressful every single time. There's stress involved. There's emotions involved. I do this every single day with my clients, but I'm able to help them manage those decisions in that process. One, because I've done it myself a couple of times. And two, I've been doing this for 5 years and sold about 140 homes. So I've seen a thing or two. Now, here is what I'm getting at. If you were to move here and buy a house too quickly and maybe overpay, that would not be a very good start to your relocation to Denver. And I'm going to tell you something that most realtors are absolutely not going to tell you. If you're not sure about which area of town you want to live in, or if you're not 100% sure about the kind of budget you want to spend, just move here and rent for a year. Okay. There's not like this insane rush to get in, especially now in 2025. But the top 10 real estate analysts are predicting nationally appreciation of 2.6% in 2025. Now, Denver typically does beat what happens nationally. But even if we beat that by a good amount and Denver happens to appreciate like 5%, it's not the end of the world for you to rent for a year and then buy a house that costs 5% more. Obviously, that's not what you would ideally do. But it looks like interest rates are going to go down to about 6% by the end of the year, but we're really not 100% sure that's going to happen either. So there's a lot of factors at play. But my point is, we're not in a post-COVID 2021 situation where if you don't buy a house now, it's going to cost you a lot more next year. That's very unlikely to happen. So the advice I'm going to give you is the same advice I give to all of my clients. Get the lay of the land. Figure out exactly what's important to you, what kind of house you're looking for, get clear on the budget, know the neighborhoods, all of that stuff, so that when the right house comes up, you and your family are able to make a clear and confident decision. How does that sound? It sounds a lot better than just rushing in and maybe overpaying for a house. One, you might not get into a house in the right area, so you got to know the areas. But two, if you overpay for that house, that sucks because I'm a dad of two, okay? I know that kids are freaking hella expensive to raise, and they are only getting more expensive, it turns out, as you go, because you got to keep buying them damn shoes like every 3 months. It's a great problem to have, but it costs a lot of money. So you don't want to be overpaying for that house and missing out on other opportunities to spend that money on stuff that really matters for your family, not just like the basic needs and necessities, but like if you want to take them on vacations, things like that. If you overpay for a house, your budget's just going to be constrained and you're going to not be in a great spot. So don't buy a house too fast and don't overpay for the house. So how do you avoid doing this? Well, there's a few ways for starters. One way you can avoid overpaying for a house, when you're shopping for a house, look for homes that are not brand new to the market. And what I mean by that is a home that has goes on the market. Let's say it's in a coming soon status on Thursday and showings start the next Thursday. That first Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that's the first weekend. If you're not shopping for a house until it's been on until at least that Monday or Tuesday, then you're probably not going to be in a competing offer situation. And the only reason you would pay above list price is if there were multiple offers. If you've bought a house before, if you've been in the whole bidding war situation, you understand what that's like. I've been in it for this house, for a dream home. We were one of 3 offers on the first day it was on the market, super stressful, but we got it. But we had to bid a good amount over and do all the bells and whistles you have to do. If you just don't go shopping for any homes until they've been on the market for 4 or 5 days or a week, then you're probably not going to be in that situation in the first place. You're much more likely to be able to get the home at that list price or below. So if you're worried about overpaying for a house, just don't shop for brand new homes. That's one strategy that I have employed with many of my clients that have a fear of getting into a bidding war or overpaying for a house. Now, let me give you an anecdote. Okay, so in 2024, I sold 22 homes and only a couple of those homes had multiple offers, bidding war, sold over asking, only a few. So the vast majority of homes these days are selling at the list price or below. You're not super likely to be in that spot anyway, but here's the kicker. The cream puff homes, the ones that are nice with the 3-car garage, a quiet street in a nice neighborhood that are remodeled and they're not overpriced to start, those will typically always sell fast in any market, regardless of inventory or the interest rate situation that we're in. I saw homes in 2021 where the market was going crazy that were overpriced that I had buyers get under asking because they were way overpriced to start. And even this last year in 2024, which was a year where we had the lowest amount of transactions nationally in 30 years, I still had a few homes that sold above list price with multiple offers because they were the right home, because they were really nice. They were staged, they were updated, they were underpriced, that sort of thing. My point is anything can happen in any market. So if you hear anybody telling you something like a blanket statement that covers like things across the board, you should probably not listen to them because that's not exactly true. Anything can happen at any time. It really just depends on that specific home. Now, here is the hard truth, okay? Nobody really wants to hear this, especially homeowners. But if you're moving here and you're gonna buy a home, maybe you do wanna hear this. Values in 2025 are unlikely to just skyrocket. Okay, given the current interest rate situation and inventory situation, which current interest rates, the average right now is 6.7%. Obviously, it's not fun compared to the 3% rate we were at a couple years ago, but it's looking pretty good compared to where they were at around 8% a couple years ago. So it really just depends. That's interest rates. It's keeping a lot of buyers sidelined, but there's still plenty of people moving. There's about 4 million transactions nationally last year. Typically, it's 5 or 6 million. Still 4 million people moved. And then with inventory, Denver has 2.1 months of inventory. So it's a good amount of inventory, but it's still not nearly enough inventory to where it is outpacing the demand. Okay, so there's still more demand than supply. And whenever that happens, prices will always go up. It's likely to happen very incrementally and slowly this year. So all that to say, if anyone tells you buy now before it's too late because prices are going to skyrocket, if I were you, I would run for the hills because they are lying to you. So you're probably asking yourself, well, what if the right house does come up? What if it's new to the market? How do I know what its value is? How do I make a good decision? If you've bought a house before, you sort of have your toes in the water, right? You've done this before, even if you've done it here in Denver. Even if you did this here in Denver 3 years ago in 2021, things are just different now. Contracts have some new language. There are some new negotiating tactics that people are employing. There's a different vibe and feel with who's got the negotiating power, buyers and sellers. And the truth is it's always different depending on the house, depending on that situation, depending on the realtor that they hired, okay? I get a lot of good information for my buyers when they're interested in a home by simply calling the listing agent and asking them questions in specific ways and listening. There's 25,000 realtors in Denver. That's not a joke. Some of them are amazing. I've had the pleasure of working with some great agents on the other side of transactions. And I've worked with some agents that are not so good. And usually when they are either less experienced or they need a deal more than their client does, which happens a lot, to be honest, it's a lot easier for me to use that against them to the benefit of my buyers so that we're able to negotiate the price down, get my buyers a better deal. Because when buyers hire me, they're hiring me not just for my market knowledge, but my negotiating skills to get them the best deal possible and to help guide them through the process so they make a good decision. And very often that leads to me giving them advice that causes them to not go towards a transaction or to not go towards a house sooner, because I am not in this to try to get people to buy a house sooner. That's not the way I'm going to earn people's trust and referrals, okay? I have not gotten to where I am, where I've sold over 140 homes in 5 years by being a pushy realtor that no one can trust. We'll just be honest, haven't gotten there that way. I've gotten here by being the most helpful realtor in Denver, so my clients know how to make good decisions and when. It's that simple. So wrapping this up, this is going to lead us into mistake number 3, which is missing out on the dream home and how you can avoid doing that. Here we go. Mistake number 3, missing out on the dream home. The one that got away. You ever heard that? You ever heard a friend tell you the story of the one that got away because they lost the dream home, or it was snatched up before they could get it, or they got beat by a cash offer? Oh, the pain. And then forever, their kids are hearing them tell that story about, oh, this is one house that got away, the one that we missed. No one wants to hear that story. Sad story. Here is the reality. Median days on market in Denver are about 1 month, but that means that that's the median, okay? So some homes will sit on the market for months. Some will get snatched up quick, okay? In those numbers I gave you earlier about 2024, there are a few situations where homes sell with multiple offers above the list price. So what if you find yourself in a spot where you and your family, whether you're moving here and you're gonna buy, or you've moved here and you're renting and you're exploring, and then the time comes where you're getting ready to buy and a new home comes up, and it does look like it's gonna be a multiple offer situation, or it is super competitive, or there's 40 people at that first open house and it feels like there's going to be a bidding war. What if you want that house? What do you do? Okay, so here's how to avoid this. I'm going to give you 5 clear steps on how you can make sure this does not happen to you and you don't let one slip out of your hands without you being able to be the one to decide to let it go, because that would suck. Okay. 1, watch the market very closely over time in your desired area. So what that means is once you've got a city or a couple neighborhoods narrowed down, watch them for like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months so that you can see what happens over time. That way, when the right house does come up, you're a market expert on that area. Number two, you can become even further a market expert by surrounding yourself with a professional team. But I will tell you from experience, if you surround yourself with a professional team, usually that means a realtor and a good lender, okay, at the very least, local realtor, local lender, your odds of success go way up. That's just the truth. Third thing you can do, get specifics about the average days on market. Not every kind of home sells at the same speed. For example, condos versus townhomes versus single family homes, they all sell at different speeds on average. Also, they don't sell at the same speed in every specific neighborhood. Aurora is a big area. There's lots of neighborhoods that are very similar that have homes in the 4, 5, 6, 700s versus let's take an area, for example, like Applewood, which is very close to where Lakewood meets Golden, really close to the mountains, a much smaller area. There's a lot of homes that are mid-century modern homes that have been remodeled, okay? And these neighborhoods are beautiful. The average price in these neighborhoods, and I'm talking about of the west part of Applewood, is $1.4 million, okay? And last year, I saw several situations where homes sold way above list price, meaning they were only on the market for a couple of days. During those couple of days, they're negotiating several offers. In one case, I saw a house that got 9 offers and sold $150,000 above the list price. This is not a joke. So that could happen too. Okay, both of these things are happening at the same time. So if you get specifics about the average days on market, it will give you a better idea about what to expect when the right house does come up. Okay, number 4, get really clear on the average list to sale ratio. Okay, so if a house is listed, for example, here in the city of Arvada, single family house averages around $700,000. If a house is listed for $700,000 and sells for $700,000, that is a list to sale of 100%. Okay, and that's the average about what's happening right now. If the average in a neighborhood you're seeing over time for 6 months averages selling for 97% of list price, then you have a good idea that wherever it's listed, it might sell for a little bit under. Versus if you see that the average in a neighborhood is 104% of list price, for example, which isn't as common these days, but there's a few areas where that tends to happen, then you have a good idea it's going to sell fast. All of this is information you can use so that you're not caught off guard. You're not super surprised when the right house comes up and then it gets snatched up, okay? If the right house comes up and you think it's going to be competitive, but you don't want to get into that situation, you can be the one to decide, I'm going to let this pass on my own terms. That would be way better than waiting around till Monday and seeing it pending on Zillow and being like, shit, I missed my opportunity. That would suck. That's a story I hear all the time. Number 5, if you are a cash buyer, great, but most people are getting loans of some kind. If you're getting a loan, you can equip yourself with a tool called 8Z Cash Buyer. If you want more information about it, reach out to me. I've got another video right here that I'll put on screen that you can watch, which will give you more information about how it works. But essentially, I have the cash in the bank that you can access. If you want to leverage the power of a cash offer to make your offer more competitive, then you can do that. We buy the house in cash, and then you get a loan and buy it right back from us. And you can refinance for free up to 3 years. This is an incredible program. Lots of my clients have used this. It's an extremely helpful tool. So reach out if you want more information about it. All right, so if you've done all this prep the right way, then when the right house pops into your online search into the coming soon section, then you and your team can analyze the home, the neighborhood, the comps, even the ones that are under contract, right? The active, the closed, look for expireds, all of that stuff. And then all of this will give you a really good idea about if that home is overpriced or if it's a really good value and likely to sell above the list price with multiple offers. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. The 3 mistakes to avoid if you are moving to Denver in 2025. I hope you found it super helpful. Please hit that like and subscribe button if it was. Thanks for watching.